Dr. B.R. Srinivas to introduce Dr. Praveen Suvarna from Hyderabad. Dr. Srinivas, please.
Hi. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, all. It is my great privilege to introduce Dr. S. Praveen Kumar, Professor Dr. S. Praveen Kumar. He was the retired principal and HOD at JS.
Srinivas, unmute yourself.
Srinivas,
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, all. It is my great privilege to introduce Dr. Praveen Kumar, Professor Dr. Praveen Kumar ji, on this occasion. He was the retired principal and HOD at JSPS Government Homeopathic Medical College in Ramnathpura, Hyderabad. And he was the trustee and PRO, Global Homeopathic Foundation. And he was the associate editor of National Journal of Homeopathy. And he was also honored with so many awards. That is to say some awards are the Telangana Government First Best Teacher Award winner in for 2017, and Dr. B.K. Bose Memorial National Best Teacher Award winner for the year 2005, and Dr. Mahendra Singh Memorial National Best Teacher Award for 2014, and PG Guide and Examiner for many university in India, and he's also PG Guide at Hahnemann Homeopathic College in London, and Associate Editor, National Journal of Homeopathy, and visiting professor to many PG institutes. So, and he is also researcher of homeopathic medicine through in vitro studies for HIV/AIDS in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. So, he is our resource person for today's webinar. Sir, I welcome you for this webinar, and
thank you.
Please continue,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
It is our privilege, and we are very honored to welcome you, sir, Dr. Praveen Kumar ji. Yeah, I think what we know as one of the best teacher, best promoter, best instigator, best role model for many homeopathic doctors. You are with us today. We are very happy, sir. We are very proud of you. Please, you can start your.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for all your kind words, Dr. Sipad Agde, Dr. Srinivas, and in fact, Dr. B. Patel. All my friends, Dr. S.K.M. Shastri and Dr. Swami, they are all there. Dr. Anil Kurana. All the other participants in this webinar by KQHDA, Bangalore. Now, in fact, I don't want to take much time because it has already been a little late, if I believe it so.
There is echo, Dr. Praveen. Echo in your voice.
Huh?
Echo.
Ooh.
చూడండి echo ఎందుకు వస్తుంది చూడండి.
I don't know. Actually, there was a problem, so I came out from my home theater. That could be probably.
Continue.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now, in fact, I was there in your webinar earlier once, and in a conference also long ago, when everybody was very happy without this corona, without this menace. Anyway, now the situation is changed. So without moving an inch, we are all meeting together. This is also thanks to corona, in fact. And yesterday one of my close friends was telling, अरे यार बहुत अच्छा है कोरोना को अपन थैंक्स कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि ये कोरोना की वजह से मेरी बेटी का शादी 50 लोगों से हो गया. So even the expenditure is also less. Probably if you are admitted to hospital, that will be compensated anyway. God forbid, it should not happen anyway. Now coming back to the topic proper, what I was trying to talk to you, as I was told that I am a resource person, there are so many resource persons in your association itself. But anyway, I would try to complement that. I wanted to show you like, in fact, as you were Association is now commemorating the celebrations of Hanuman's birthday. So our salutations to the master and our warm wishes from Global Homeopathy Foundation and National Journal of Homeopathy. Our Dr. Lata Devarajan is also there in your association. We'll start with pathological prescription. Is it pathological prescription? One case I would like to share with you. He is a 13-year-old boy. He came with recurrent attacks of seizures since 1 year. He came to our college OP when I was a HOD of practice of medicine. And he got convulsions with jerking of right hand and right leg, lasting for 5 minutes. Seizures for 5 minutes is quite a lot of time. And in the aura, he had blurred vision. 1 year back, this was noticed. He was taken to an allopathic physician. Investigation was done and diagnosed as tuberculoma of brain. Now, Dr. Sripad Hegde would introduce. Dr. Anish, I request him to talk about tuberculoma of brain, then I will come to the case proper.
Yeah. Now, I am very happy and privileged to introduce Dr. S. Anish from Hyderabad. He has completed his MBBS and MS in general surgery from KMC Manipal. He is our Karnataka's product. We are very happy to say that, sir. He has studied in Manipal and we are very proud of that. And he is doing his DNB in neurosurgery at KIMS Hyderabad. He is a proud son of Dr. Praveen Kumar Suvarna. He is doing a research work also. I will introduce him. Please, Anish, you share now.
Thank you, doctor. I'm actually very proud to present this. I've actually wanted to present something in one of the homeopathic seminars before, but I wasn't able to for various reasons.
Maybe we are lucky where you got an opportunity on good auspicious day.
Thank you. I'm really thankful for this opportunity, and I'd like to go ahead.
Yeah, please proceed.
Just a second, sorry.
Stop sharing.
You just go. Am I audible? And as a presentation?
Yeah. You can make it a slideshow, full screen.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to talk just for a brief while about CNS tuberculoma. As everyone knows, just a basic introduction, tuberculosis is an infectious disease caused by various strains, most commonly Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The primary infection is the lungs, and it spreads by aerosolized droplets, much like the pandemic that's going on right now. The tubercular bacilli are enveloped by macrophages in the alveoli of the lung, and they replicate within the tuberculoma. This is called as a tuberculoma, and it's surrounded by an inflammatory reaction. So this inflammatory reaction is a cell-mediated immunity, and it results in that particular picture where the center of necrosis surrounded by tubercular bacilli, which are actively replicating, surrounded by the inflammatory reaction, is called a tubercular granuloma. Now, the most distinguishing feature, as we all know, is a caseating necrosis. However, there are one or two other places where you find caseating necrosis. So a detection of the organism by acid-fast stains is also essential. This is a typical histopathology of a tubercular granuloma. You can see the center of caseating necrosis. Most of this is hyalinized. One of these cells you can see here, this is a Langerhans-Janes cell, and most of these are epithelioid cells, and the surrounding huge wall of inflammatory reaction, mostly comprised of macrophages. This is a zoomed in image of an acid fast staining. The pink ones, the pink slender ones, which we can see are the acid fast bacilli. These are the tubercular bacilli. And this is a typical, very well known Ziel-Nielsen staining. The CNS involvement in TB is approximately 10%. However, in immunocompromised patients such as elderly, diabetics, and HIV infected people, it's much higher. And most often it's not usually due to a spread from a primary tuberculosis. It's a primary TB which heals and then a reactivation of the latent focus. And so this is a spread which is hematogenous. It's not a lymphatic spread. Most of the times it's a hematogenous spread, spreads to the brain and settles in the brain parenchyma, most of the times in the gray matter. Sometimes what happens is it ruptures into the subarachnoid space and then it causes TB meningitis, which is pretty common and famous. And the other times that it forms granulomas, which I have just described, and it can enlarge and form symptoms. Coming to the clinical features of tubercular granulomas, as in any CNS disease, intracranial disease, the most common or most important factor rather is the location. So the location of the granuloma determines what symptoms develop in the patient. There can be focal deficits, there can be weaknesses, there can be altered behavior, there can be cranial nerve involvements, there can be pituitary or hypothalamic dysfunction. But some of the common features, as any TB, is fever and meningismus signs such as neck rigidity and low onset, high grade fever. The diagnosis of this lumbar puncture, which is commonly done in TB meningitis, it shows low glucose levels, high lymphocytes, increased opening pressure, and presence of acid-fast bacilli. This is the most specific one. But lumbar puncture, typically, since we test the CSF, we need meningitis to be present, as in the bacilli should have spread, should have ruptured, the tuberculoma should have ruptured and spread into the CSF. So that is why, even though it is highly specific, it has low sensitivity for a CNS tuberculoma. It has high sensitivity for a tubercular meningitis, but for a tuberculoma, as such, it's not very sensitive. If you can detect acid-fast bacilli, then it's highly specific. You can be pretty sure that it's a TB meningitis. Coming to the radiographic findings, I'll go directly to this is a T1 weighted image of MRI. I don't know if you can see my cursor. This here is the area I want to focus on. This is iso-intense to the gray matter, which is hyper intense in T1 weighted imaging. This is a T2 weighted imaging. You can see the typical round tuberculoma with surrounding edema. The edema is not very significant as compared to other tumors. And this is a diffusion weighted imaging, where there is not much restriction of diffusion. This is the most important. This is a contrast enhanced MRI, where you can see that typical ring enhancement. This is because the central area is caseated necrosis, like I explained before. Because it's necrose, there's not much of vascularity and not much of contrast, which is given IV, right? So the IV contrast is taken up by the surrounding inflammatory reaction, and this is how it appears as a typical ring enhancing lesion. And this is a coronal image of the same, and a sagittal image of the same. Here you see a typical hypointensity on the T1, surrounded by a hyperintense contrast enhancing rim. These are multiple images showing more of the same. This image I would like to focus on. It shows a tuberculoma in the capsuloganglionic region. You can see the significant push, the significant midline shift it's creating. So one of the classical features of tuberculoma, how we can differentiate it from a tumor in the brain, is that it pushes, it doesn't invade the surrounding tissue. In a tumor, you'd see finger-like projections where it invades the surrounding tissue. But a tuberculoma grows and pushes the other tissue, causing a lot of problems. And in this case, because of the significant location, it needs to be excised. From a surgeon's point of view, I would obviously talk about surgery, and surgery is rarely indicated in intracranial TB, tuberculomas, unless, like I showed before, if there's impending herniation or symptoms of increased intracranial pressure, causing debilitating symptoms. Thank you again for the opportunity. I'd like to hand over to Dr. Praveen for further discussion of the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Anish. Thank you very much for the medical and technical explanations what you give. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, Praveen ji can continue. Sir, unmute yourself. Praveen, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Continue.
So this was the case. In fact, I remember Dr. B.D. Patel, sir, was the principal of Chandigarh College, right?
Yeah.
So one gentleman nearby to Chandigarh village was being felicitated. Then everybody was felicitating and talking high about that gentleman. And then the passerby was asking her, why are you felicitating this man? He said, that man is diagnosed to have brain tumor. Why do you felicitate? Because he is the first person in our Birazari who has got brain. So, brain tumor we are dealing with, tuberculoma, which is different from brain tumor. Because Dr. Anish has already clearly mentioned what is the difference between tuberculoma and brain tumor. Anyway, so he was diagnosed. This is something like what he has already mentioned in clear. So after 7 months, one day, again he suffered with convulsions when he was in school. Then he was taken to allopathic hospital. Then MRI was done, which was diagnosed as left parietal conglomerate ring enhancing lesion. Tuberculoma was the diagnosis, which was shown there. Past history of this boy, he underwent appendectomy 5 years back. In personal history, appetite is very good. He has desire for spicy food and eggs. Thirst less. Stools are hard. Urine is clear, but no burning. But he is suffering from nocturnal enuresis, or you can say bedwetting. As a person, he is a stubborn child, wants everything according to his will, does not obey his parents' words. Nowadays, who is obeying? Difficult. But anyway, the child was complained to have this particular characteristic feature, does not obey the parents' words, desires company, he has fear of being alone and darkness, particularly when he goes to sleep. These were the characteristic features. So, as I was in the college, I got this boy admitted in my ward, and the PGs did their work. They have taken the whole case, and they have done. All this is like you can say granulomatous lesion, tuberculoma. So the hospitals. This was done on 21st Jan 2016. Right? Then one of my PGs immediately brought out Robin Murphy repertory and said, sir, there is only one drug, causticum in 2nd grade, for tuberculosis in brain. Should we give that? If I give it, as I coined that, oh, current gone. Anyway, doesn't matter. You can see me in Mani Ratnam's movie, like dark. Okay, don't bother. So here, if I were to prescribe causticum, it is like a pathological prescription because tuberculoma in the brain and it is depicted in the repertory. I am prescribing. Should I do that? That was the question. Is it a pathological prescription if I were to prescribe causticum? Yes, definitely. Because I have depended on only one pathological characteristic feature. What should we do now? There are instances where we go by pathology and we prescribe the remedy. We do that. Like for example, if you read Allen's keynotes or textbook of Materia Medica, round ulcer of stomach, Kali bichromicum, it is there in our Materia Medica. It is pathological description. the different descriptions of warts given in your textbook of pathology, materia medica. It is pathological. There are quite a number of such instances where we depend on the pathology. But when do we depend? When do we prescribe? This is the discretion needed, especially for my friends who just passed out of the institute. They should be careful. They can't just jump to the conclusion that we depend on a pathological description of a patient or his condition to prescribe a remedy. So what do? We collected the rubrics. Already the case has been given. It has been taken elaborately. So fear of going to sleep and in the darkness, fear of being alone, desire for company, obstinate, desires spices, desires eggs, involuntary urination in the night, thirstless, hard stools, convulsions in children, convulsions of the right side of the body, sorry, jerking as in convulsions, aura with visual complaints, brain tumors or brain tubercles. When we have so many rubrics, why do I depend on a pathological characteristic feature? I don't need to. So, sorry, we have done the repertorization. Now you will see the miracle. We got causticum. Again, it has covered 13 out of 15 symptoms with 20 marks. The next best remedy was sulfur. Later belladonna and then pulse stiller. Now who will stop us in giving causticum? Because it is covering the pathology. What Kent writes in his repertory introduction, that if your drug does not cover the pathology completely, it may not cure the condition completely. So, if your drug does not cover the pathology of the patient, it may not cure the case completely. So, now the drug, same drug which is covering the individual completely, is also covering the pathology. So, we prescribe causticum 0/1, tuberculum of brain in this gentleman, in this boy. They have admitted 15th February 2016 and 18th February 2016, because that was our rule at that time, not more than 6 days in the hospital. We admitted, did all that job, gave causticum 0/1. Here one word to my friends, with an advice from my guru, Dr. N.S. Prashant, I prescribe, in fact, if you check my prescription in a day, 75 to 80% of my prescriptions will be in 50 millismol potency. But how do I dispense? Not in the classical way like Hahnemann described. Here I ask the patient to take one tiny pill in 1/4 cup of water on empty stomach every day morning, if it is to be repeated every day or once a week or once a month, depends on the necessity of that case. So that's how we have prescribed. Here you can read here, 3 times a day initially, 1/4 cup of water. But later on, follow up, 4th March, we have given tuberculum vanum as an intercurrent because there was diminished appetite. But we did not leave causticum. We enhanced the potency to 0/3, next visit 0/6, next visit 0/9, next visit 0/12. You can raise to 0/2, 3, 4, 5, but usually I jumping type of things. So we have done again MRI report on 23rd June 2016. No significant intracranial abnormality detected. The whole tuberculoma has been resolved. Everything has become all right. Not only that, the boy has become completely all right. There was no seizures, no symptom. His nocturnal enuresis also has been completely cured. We know very well causticum has got tremendous capacity to cure nocturnal enuresis, even whether it is an adult or an old man or a child. So here this case has been completely cured with causticum alone, with 1 dose of tuberculum in between. We can compare also how It was there, granulomatous lesion earlier, tuberculoma, later no abnormality. Now, I raised the question, is it a pathological prescription? Yes, it would have been had it depended on only tubercles in brain. Without taking the rubrics into cognizance, without taking the whole constitution into cognizance, then it would have been probably a pathological prescription. But to our utter surprise, the same drug has come up. There are different types of prescriptions as we hear from Vedas, Upanishads like Akashat Pachitantoyam Yatha Gacchati Sagaram Sarvadeva Namaskaram Keshavam Pratigacchati. Wherever you pray, whether it is in mic or whether it is in front of a cross, anywhere it goes to Keshava. You are there to receive everything, whether you name him or you don't name him. I am not fanatic, but I am just telling you according to this sloka in Veda. So here, whatever might be the type of case, whatever might be the type of prescription you adopt or you prescribe, it should reach the ultimate goal of giving relief to the patient, trying to cure the patient. As our first aphorism in Organon, it says the highest mission of a physician is to cure. So we have to cure. So there are different types of prescription, conveniently made into different types. Because Hahnemann already laid down so many guidelines. It's not about hard work. We have to follow what he has told. On his birthday celebration, we should remember him once again and try to emulate and see that we select according to his laid down principles. He has laid down, he said, he has classified the diseases into different categories and mind well. Even in contemporary science, you will see DSM-5 or ICD-10, all these things have been updated frequently. There are quite a number of changes in the classification. But if you happen to see the classification laid down by Hahnemann, you don't need to change. Even since 200 years, it is still valid even today. For example, you take 4 classifications he has given for mental diseases. They are still 100% valid. Whatever might be the type of classification you adopt, you can take into one of these 4 categories and treat the patient. So it is still valid and it is very pertinent, very important. So we need to take that case, put it into according to the classification of diseases according to Hahnemann's classification, and the approach is already laid down by him. If it is so, this is the method. For example, if it is surgical, the approach is there. Hahnemann has classified, for example, into indisposition, surgical diseases, dynamic diseases. So in indisposition, for example, you don't need to treat. Hahnemann mentions diet and regimen correction may be corrected. That's why it is needed. So he mentioned surgical diseases. Homeopathy has some limited action. If it is surgery, you need to go for it. So if it is dynamic, we have a better role. So here it is our turn to take the case completely, classify according to this disease classification, and see in which category our class of case or that patient puts into or fits into. And basically we know our prescription is of only 2 types, first and second. Prescribers are 3 types according to M.L. Tyler in Drug Pictures. She says there are 3 types of prescribers on the earth. 1, new friends, and most of us in most of the conditions, we are scientific. What do? We take the case, we analyze, evaluate, repertorize, and come to conclusion, prescribe. It is scientific method of prescription. But whereas artistic, you go a step above and you don't need to do the whole process. You select 1 or 2 important points in that and select accordingly and prescribe, because that covers everything. But the third one, intuitive, where it comes with experience coupled with knowledge. We try to emulate that, we try to reach that, let us try that. So, but here in our prescription, either it is first or second, Second is that after one which has acted. And already rules are laid down, whether it is remedy response by Hahnemann or 12 observations by Kent, it is clearly mentioned. But the first prescription itself has got so many types. Like conveniently mentioned, it is not a watertight compartment. Acute, etiological, chronic, constitutional, intercurrent, miasmatic, nosological, organopathic, pathological, synthetic, tautopathic, past history based, family history based, preventive, palliative, keynote. Different. Keynote, my friends in Kolkata, they are very well versed with keynote prescription. Some of the times, like nosological or pathological, they look alike. So as I already said, like not watertight compartment. To know about pathological prescription, what is that? It is based on the similarity to the disease process or pathological changes as opposed to constitutional prescription, which is aimed at the person in general. So in a lower potency or repeated doses, it may be needed to prescribe in these conditions. I'll show you one case here. Dr. Sripad Hegde, how much time I have?
Yeah, you continue, sir. Continue.
Thank you. So 42-year-old lady with heavy menstruation, lasting for more than quite a number of days, and moderate pain abdomen, especially right lumbar or right iliac fossa. Then she was moderately built and had no other complaints in between the periods. She was a working lady and had 2 children, FTND, full-term normal delivery. General condition was normal. Appetite, sleep, all these things, they were normal. No specific desires and aversions. She was ambithermal. She was advised to undergo hysterectomy, obviously. As there was one great gentleman, Dr. Manu Kothari in Mumbai, he did a survey. His article was published in our National Journal of Homeopathy. He did a survey in Bombay. He collected information from more than 300 gynecologists of some age group, and same age group more than 300 common women. And among these people, 80% of the common women don't have uterus because it has already been removed. Whereas it is in reverse in gynecologists. If the age is the criteria, if the problem is the criteria, it should affect every woman. Why only a common woman? So that was his presentation. So here hysterectomy is a common phenomena. Most of the times it has been advised. So here this lady was also advised, but she was afraid, she was reluctant. So already she was given Calcarea, Sepia, Pulsfila, Tuja, all the drugs by one of the senior physicians in Hyderabad. So what do we do now? So the report says there is focal adenomyosis with 14 mm thick endometrium. Matronatum 3x and Fraxinus americana mother tincture, both together long. And after quite some time taken, there was no focal adenomyosis. Endo thickness came down. You can see
Sir, your voice.
am I audible?
Yeah.
Now audible.
Some is the screen or I'll share it. There is some problem, technical.
Maybe Corona is making some effect on that also.
Yes. Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And is it visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was only bulky uterus. Size also came down very much, 8.5 into 5.5. There was right hydronephrosis. It was treated later and everything became all right. Later report I don't have, but the scan showed completely all right. In fact, she was reluctant to go for any scan later because she said she did not have any symptoms. But I insisted it was normal. This was one such prescription wherein I have depended only on the pathology. This can be called as a pathological prescription. I can't say that the earlier prescription was wrong. It did not work, so it is wrong. It worked, it is right. I prescribed based on only pathology. Another lady, I would wind up with this case, short case, 65-year-old.
Some issue with your voice, sir.
Maybe technical fault. Dr. Praveen, it says that you leave everything to Anish. The Anish will take care of you.
No, sir. They are at different places. He will come back. We'll wait. He understood the problem.
This is just a signal problem, sir. You can go near the, if you are using Wi-Fi, you can go nearest to the server.
Hello.
Uh-huh.
Hello.
Now it's
You are audible now. You are
Oh.
visible also. Now I think again you are invisible.
Right. Yeah, now I have come here.
Okay.
Okay, good. It is testing. So, my friend Dr. Devendra Singh, vascular surgeon here in Yashoda. Am I audible?
Yeah.
audible.
Visible also, right?
Yeah, visible also.
Okay. Yes, done all that, said CT peripheral angiography, a lot of occlusions, significant osteal stenosis in inferior mesenteric artery, and calcific disease in mid-right anterior tibial artery, and posterior tibial artery and peroneal artery were also occluded. Left tibio-peroneal trunk, osteoproximal peroneal artery was also occluded. So, lot of pathology in a peripheral vasculature, especially in the legs. And that is the reason why she was having severe pain in the legs, not able to walk. So we can understand, we know that severe pain, that claudication distance, all these things we know from meningitis obliterans it could be, but it is beyond that imagination, where the lady was not able to even walk. Like I have seen her from front waiting hall to my consulting chamber, 5, 6 steps or 10 steps, she could not move freely. That was the scenario for this old lady of 65-year-old. So what drug should we give for this lady as a pathological prescription? Any suggestions? I think probably audience muted. Anyway, so I have given Sekelkar 0/1 and there was tremendous symptomatic relief. Within 2 months' time, her son got transferred. He was working as IT commissioner in Bangalore. So they have shifted. This has happened few years back. So I wrote a letter to one of my friends there with a referral letter and she was followed up there. I don't have a track of this lady, would have completely, I have written what medicine I have given. So this is what we are trying to do is one such type of prescription. There is a saying like हर दफा जिंदा तिलस्मात काम नहीं करेगा. Every time a constitutional treatment may not work, every time a pathological prescription will not work. It depends on each class of case. We have to diagnose that class of case according to Hahnemannian description and fit our prescription according to that. Then we would be more successful. That's what I say. So any success, it depends on our hard work. And of course the knowledge. There is no substitute for knowledge. We need to gain that. All people will not be very lucky without knowledge becoming successful. Okay. So we have to follow this clinical classification of diseases, and the type of a prescription is automatic. When you know that, you know what should be done there. An injury or surgery or palliation or prevention. It depends on that. So anyway, before I conclude, first I thank Dr. B.D. Patel, Dr. Sripad, Dr. Srinivas, Dr. Swami, Dr. Lata, and all the other friends in KQHDA, and Dr. Anil Khurana, SKM Shastri, every one of you. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. And this is most important, SMS, sanitize, mask, social distance. That should be the slogan everywhere. Everywhere for everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I hope you can stop sharing.
That's what I'll do.
Yeah, very colorful Hyderabad monument you have shown us. Thank you very much. As usual, where the classically how the patient can be approached and understood them clinically, pathologically, as well as psychologically in toto to understand the patient and how best they can be managed. And a very classical cases of 3 cases in a different way of management. And here the majority of the surgical cases where the surgery was advised, and a challenging like a tuberculoma. It's a very rare disease, hardly you could able to see. Once you hear only, they refer to the surgeons or neurosurgeons, and out of such cases where he has shown and he has proved the importance of the homeopathy as well as efficacy of homeopathy. And this is the cream of experience. Only the experienced and senior persons like Dr. Praveen Kumar could able to treat such cases. Sir, thank you very much with us and sharing very interesting cases and being with us in the KQHDA platform. We are very proud of you, sir.
Thank you.
Now I will show you, I will share you the screen where Dr. Anil Khurana wanted to share then the video of that homeopathic clinical case repository. Just I will share with you. I hope it is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
See, this is what the sir was mentioning where I saw all supposed to do this. There is a very good feedback as well as good statistics. Yeah, this is what contributing to the research in homeopathy, CCRH, what Dr. Anil Khurana wanted to share, then it could not able to open up. And thank you very much. Immediately he mailed me and we could able to share that. I hope each one of us, so if we contribute in the.
Sir, your voice is low.
Sir, your voice is very low. Dr. President, voice is inaudible. ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ.
Audible?
Yeah, now it's.
Yeah. I hope, I think all we could able to start contributing, because many of us, we have treated the patients for last 1 year, and many as a patient also, they have taken the medicine. As a patient or as a doctor, both the things we could able to contribute, and we could able to enrich the statistical data in the CCRH forum, as well as by through them, we could able to represent the system as well as the country better way. I hope I understand everybody would able to start doing this, and many of us, we are not aware of that, how best we could able to contribute our own way. But each one, you are serving the society in your own way. Really, I appreciate you. And during the crisis of this COVID-19, all we are struggling hard, working hard to help the society, help the suffering humanity, where all as a human being, as a homeopathic doctor, as the serving society persons, we are all contributing very much. And I think that may be the best tributes what we could able to give on this auspicious day, what we are celebrating the Hanuman's 266th birth anniversary, as well as World Homeopathy Day. Now, this is the last part, we will go. Sir, a special thanks to Dr. Anish. I hope here afterwards he will be with us for each and every session, because the new trends and the new developments which is taking place in the super specialties, we would like to upgrade ourselves in that knowledge, as well as we could able to correlate with that. And
I will definitely convey Dr. Sripad Hegde.
Dr. Sripad Hegde, you would agree with me, Anish's voice is just like Dr. Suvarna Praveen Kumar. Anyhow, this man has become old. Now let Anish replace him, because he is more smarter than Praveen Kumar.
sir,
I don't feel jealous.
sir, old is gold, sir. That cannot.
Old is gold, go gaya, spent force, as you have pushed me away.
Now, I think we are in the conclusion part. Now, I request our secretary, Dr. Subhasi, to give a vote of thanks.
Sir, before that, can you acknowledge some of the new people and senior people attending our program?
Yeah, sir,
R.K.
please,
Vashisht,
sir.
Dr. R.K. Vashisht from Hyderabad, who runs a very big lab, Vashisht Laboratories.
Yeah.
And there are many, Dr. Suranjana also is attending, and many
Dr.
of
Suranjana is there, Dr. S.K. Tiwari is there, many are
SK
there.
Tiwari
Sir.
is there, yes.
I think it may take long time to Kumar.
Yeah.
I said many seniors are with us,
Yes.
and we are very proud of you all here. By
Yes.
name, I may not be taking each and every person's name. We are very proud, and I request you very honestly and sincerely, be with us, continue this healthy homeopathic relationship with us, and we are very proud, and be with us. Dr. Subhashi, yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Please,
Thank you,
vote of
sir.
thanks, the secretary,
Yeah,
because
sure.
they have all shared with us today, and they made the day very beautiful and
Yes.
wonderful by sharing their knowledges and experiences. Please.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Agde, sir. Good evening, one and all. First off, I would like to thank all the team members, life members, my friends, respected doctors, and who had been a part of today's program, Karnataka Qualified Homeopathic Doctors Association's celebration of World Homeopathy Day. I thank our beloved patron, Dr. B.D. Patel, sir, for beginning the meeting with a positive vibe through the Shangunadam, and for being our mentor since the beginning, and also for the undefined love, guidance, and support. It's my immense pleasure to express my sincere gratitude towards our president, Dr. Sripad Hegde, sir, for making KQHD's dream of launching an e-magazine, Homeo Sandesh, and working off the limits to bring together this Hanuman's Day celebrations along with a knowledgeable national webinar. I also extend my thanks to Hegde, sir, for welcoming everyone and for the floral tribute to our master, Dr. Samuel Hanuman. I thank our chairman, Dr. H.L. Swami, sir, for presenting KQHDA's activities, through which whoever is not at all be a part of, still now as not a part of our association, will join us in the upcoming future. I'm sure about that. I humbly thank Dr. S. Sachidanand, Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Karnataka, to take some time off his bustling schedule to inaugurate KQHD's virtual celebration of Hanuman's 266th birthday. Many thanks to Dr. Anand Kulkarni, sir, Vice President KQHDA, for welcoming our Honorable Vice Chancellor. I'm obliged to Dr. Chaitali Kulkarni, our immediate past president, for introducing today's chief guest, Dr. Anil Khurana. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Anil Khurana, Director General CCRH, Chairman BOG CCH, for launching the Homeo Sandesh, KQHD's e-magazine, and giving us, presenting us in front of us whatever had happened during this last 1 year related with the homeopathic, Azalb and all other medicines, however it had worked, and he had guided us to give the our contributions to help for the future developments. I would like to thank our past president, Dr. B.R. Srinivas, sir, for introducing today's resource person, Dr. Praveen Suvarna. I convey my deepest obligations to our speaker, Dr. Praveen Suvarna, retired principal of JSPS HMC, Hyderabad. I thank Dr. Praveen. I thank Dr. Anish, Praveen sir, Praveen sir's son, for giving pathological explanation about tuberculosis. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Dr. Chirant, our Vice President, and Dr. Tripti, our Treasurer, for coordinating this event with much grace. I also thank Dr. Sushila Rao, our Joint Secretary KQHDA, and Dr. Anusha Matthew, EC KQHDA, for preparing a detailed report of every webinar. My sincere thanks to all the team members of e-magazine, and all the best to bring our dream to greater heights. Even Hegde sir had introduced the e-magazine team members. I wish to thank once again the chief editor, Dr. Shripad Hegde, editor, Dr. Lata Devarajan. Other members are Dr. Tripti Pai, Dr. Tejasvi Patel, Dr. Anusha Kulkarni, Dr. Chirant, and our advisory committee is Dr. B.D. Patel, Dr. H.L. Swami, Dr. Praveen Kumar PD, Dr. Anand Kulkarni, and Dr. Shashikant Tiwari. Thanks to one and all the team members. Thank you. Thank you all.
I thank you each and everyone who has participated with us and spared your valuable more than 2 hours time with us. I thank you one and all on behalf of Karnataka Qualified Homeopathic Doctors Association. Be associated. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very